Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this amazing webinar today about what top performers know about Copilot that you don't know yet. We have a lot of big surprises today, a lot of good tips and tricks on how to start to accelerate your productivity with Microsoft Copilot. First of all, thank you for being with us. 360 Visibility, as a direct Microsoft partner, is very happy to have this presence or have this opportunity to connect with you. And we hope that you enjoy and learn new stuff in this webinar. Let's start with a quick introduction about our 360 Visibility team. So, during this session, we are going to have three 360 Visibility team members. Marco Dercoli, our Executive Vice President. You can have here his email and phone number. Jason Malloy, our Cloud Solutions Director, responsible for all of our technical expertise and all of our technical team that is ready to help you when you want to implement these AI solutions. I'm on sales, Francisco Rojas, Client Experience Manager in 360 Visibility. We hope that you enjoy and learn new tips and tricks about Copilot today. I'm sure that now that everyone is talking about AI, we have a lot of questions, but the most important, or the one that we always find when we have these conversations, is how organizations are using AI today to empower transformation and empower productivity for their employees. And basically, we were working with all of our customers and using some Microsoft data, and we identified three important pillars that big organizations and small organizations across Canada and the world are using to empower with AI. First of all, accelerate employee productivity and creativity. We are helping customers or the organizations are helping their employees to have time savings. Some activities that before they took more than 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes and maybe be completed, now can be executed almost automatically thanks to AI being integrated in their processes. Maximize the Microsoft 360 value. And I have this question for all of you. How many of you, when we talk about 365, we are just thinking about the email or now Teams? The truth is, when we integrate Microsoft Copilot for 365 inside these conversations, we can find more value in the investment that we have. So we already have a lot of tools. How about if we start to have more productivity, more services that are already active in our Microsoft subscription, accelerating these services and integration with Copilot, and have more focus in the growth of your business. How much time are we spending today doing repetitive tasks and activities that are not helping us to accelerate our day-by-day opportunities and business? So this is part of the magic and the first pillar that we identified, how organizations are using AI to accelerate employee productivity and creativity. Obviously, when our team is being more productive, we can optimize business processes, have more focus in how we interact with our own customers, but most importantly, offer to our own customers and different stakeholders seamless processes to interact with us. So operational efficiency, increase your revenue, or cost savings in your day-by-day operations, basically helping you to achieve more and have better services for your own customers. And last but not least, the most important one. When we talk about AI, we have a lot of questions about how I'm going to stay in control of my data, of my customer data, of my PII, or most important, of my business processes that I already built during a long time, and I don't want that can be accessed by another person. So with Copilot, when we start to integrate AI technologies, and the big advantage with Microsoft Copilot for 365 is you are going to still be the owner of your data. But most important, you are going to have the control about how Copilot is using the data. You can have a clear expectations about how you are going to set up the security of your information, and you can inherit all of the actual Microsoft 365 policies that you already have. Basically, that means you don't need to reinvent the wheel. All of your security policies are going to be already available through Copilot for Microsoft 365. Three pillars that we have, and we identify that organizations are empowering today using AI to accelerate their day-by-day business. Now, connected with these three pillars, we were working with different companies across Canada, and most importantly, with another partners across Canada, Microsoft partners. And we identified that 79% of the SMB leaders say that AI is important. We need to be in the AI wave. We need to start to offer these AI technologies, policies, and processes that our employees can be more productive. But in the same way, we identified that 80% of these, of these 79% of companies that believe, or SMB leaders that believe that AI is the new wave, they are not making the decision to move and start to integrate AI technologies. But the leadership team is not doing it. The customers or the employees they are starting to use AI technologies to accelerate their own processes and business. We identified that almost 80% of SMB users are starting to execute the bring your own AI to work. And that means that they are using AI technologies that really we, as a leadership team in each of your organizations, we don't have control about it. We don't know what is happening with the information that our employees are putting there. But most important, after they put information there, we don't know what happened with that information. So, on one hand, we know that we need to start to use AI. In the other hand, we're taking so much time because we are worried about security, and our employees, they are already making the decisions. So this creates another, or the third point that you see here. And it's basically 49% of the employees in the organization today, they are using AI inside the organization. They are bringing their own AI to the organization, but they are not ready to admit that they are using another AI. So this is creating a false expectation in the leadership team that today no one is using AI inside the organization, when the reality is your employees are already using AI. So this is when we need to start to think about how we can start to integrate AI policies, AI technologies, but most important, we can start to help our employees to be more productive. Now, when we talk with the leaders and we ask them, why do you think the AI is important for your business, but you are not ready to make a decision, we find three important things that are stopping the leadership teams today to make a decision to start to include AI technologies. I already say that 78% of the AI users, they are already using AI inside your organization. So I'm almost sure that inside your organization, you already have AI that maybe you don't have the visibility, but it's already working for you and accelerating capacities of your employees inside your organization. And when the leadership team is meeting to identify what is going to be the next step, they define that the big issue that they find with AI technologies is we don't know, or we are not sure how we can keep control of our data. We don't know how we can, or we have concerns about how implementing these new AI technologies are going to impact our controls, or how we are going to mitigate the risk to lose the information. So basically, we believe that AI is important, but we don't want, or we are not ready, or we feel that we are ready to make the first step because we are worried about the lack of information. But our employees, they are already taking this first step. And the other important topic that we heard is, hey, today, apparently for my business case, for the kind of organizations or compliance regulations that I have for my business, maybe I already have some restrictions in AI. I'm not sure how I want to use AI to keep my PI or to be aligned with compliance, or I expect that in my industry, in 2-3 years, we have much more AI control. So I don't want to do that step because probably in 2 years, I need to go back. And something important I want to leave this in all of your mindset is, if you today have some concerns about how AI is going to interact with your organizations and your compliance policies, the first question is, you are already using cloud services. That means that your organization is already in the cloud step on this cloud journey where you already set up security, compliance policies, and you already have that protection that you are looking for information in the cloud. So when you add AI technologies, and in this particular case, Copilot for Microsoft 365, you are only extending these policies, and the same day that you deploy Copilot, these policies that you already have using Microsoft technologies are going to be deployed and going to be applied to Copilot. So maybe it's something that you don't need to be worried about today. Before continuing, I just want to invite everyone, if you have any questions, please feel free to put these questions in our Q&A. My team, the 360 Visibility team, is already checking all of the questions that we have, and we are going to continue giving answers to these questions. And if we have a particular question, we will be sharing the answer for these questions at the end of the session. So feel free to ask any question that you have about Copilot, licensing, security, or how to continue, or what is going to be the first step. We are happy to help you to understand and enjoy together this AI journey. Let's talk about Copilot. When we started to talk about Copilot 2 years ago, everyone was thinking, what is going to be the first step? What I can do with Copilot? What is going to be the right approach to start to use this technology on my organization? And we try to split this conversation in 3 big steps. First of all, Copilot is going to be your personal assistant. And when we are talking about personal assistant, imagine that you are going to have the capability that someone is going to be next to you, ready to help you, ready to provide you with more information, with the insights that make sense for your next meeting, or much more importantly, that they are going to have exactly the same permissions and access to the information that you have today, because it's your personal assistant. I'm going to share a good story here. 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with my leader. And he mentioned something about, hey, Francisco, we need to take care about this topic. So please don't forget about it. And I say, yeah, sure. I took note about it. I put it in my notebook. And I had Copilot active at that time. So Copilot took the notes too. This week, starting the week, I was ready for my weekly scene. And during the morning, I always ask Copilot. It's part now of my routine. Hey, Copilot, what is important for our meeting today? What I need to keep an eye to have a successful day today. Let me know what important insights I need to keep. And Copilot helped me to remember that in particular note. But you know what is the most amazing part? He just didn't say about Francisco, you need to talk about it. He went above and ahead and said, hey, Francisco, you need to review this. I find this information that you already have access in your organization, and probably this is going to be the answer. So when you have these personal assistants, basically, you are going to be the opportunity to dedicate more time to your really important activities and less time to the operational stuff. I will say that thanks to Copilot, I had an amazing meeting in front of my leader. Now, after this conversation, I'm sure that he is going to ask me how I forgot that, but at least during the session was a very good experience, and everything was powered by Copilot. So it's a very good example about how Copilot can help us every day as a personal assistant. But most importantly, it's when we start to give Copilot access, not just to our personal assistant, when he can start to work with the rest of our organization to provide better insights about what we need to do. And I'm going to use a very good example about it. We were helping some customers a month ago, 2 months ago. And obviously my Copilot has access to my information, the information that I already have access on my organization. And we have a group folder that we were using, a group Teams group that we were using to share all of the updates about the project with our customer. Keep in mind that this is a Teams folder, the normal Teams folder that we already use, the Teams channel. We put the files in the same place. We put all of the activities that we need to execute in our project, in our share project, directly in our Teams channel. But when my Copilot start to work with the Copilots of my teammates, doing exactly the same that normally I will do, checking activities, checking processes, checking updates, our Copilots start to work together to provide us this kind of insight about, hey, Francisco, we are maybe a little bit late in this activity. We need to push forward in this. Can I send an email to X, Y, or Z of your coworkers just to keep this on top of mind? So this is when Copilot will give you the next step. It's not just now your personal assistant. It's starting to work with all of your coworkers to provide you insights that make sense to keep you always ready to be on top of your business. And let's move to the third step, agents. Agent is the possibility that we have to help Copilot to be more smart about typical projects. And I'm going to use a very good example about it. Imagine that your personal assistant or your team assistant is going to be basically Copilot when you have this new person in the organization. When you start to teach him how the organization works, how the organizations create emails, or how the organization communicates with everyone, is when you're going to start to have an agent. And it's basically the next step. Is when you help this student that just finished his high school to learn maybe how to build applications. This is an agent. Now you have a very smart person, a very smart agent that is going to help you, not just with basic knowledge, it's going to help you to develop or execute particular tasks. So imagine that is basically now you have this agent, and I'm going to share with you some good insights about agents in the next slides, some expertise that we have inside 360, but you are giving Copilot the knowledge to be smarter and some particular activities. Now, during this slide, I touched different topics. So I just want to go back a little bit and keep in mind or help you to understand more about how the different Copilots works. When we talk about Copilot, we are talking about a buy and use AI. It's a product that is ready to use, that is going to be your personal assistant, but most importantly, that is going to have exactly the same access that you have today to the information, to all of the information that you have in your organization. Okay, so if you already have access to a particular file, to a particular share folder, to a particular conversation, your executive or your assistant is going to have access to that information. This is by and use, sorry, in the left part of the screen. So you have Copilot, general knowledge, you have role-based extension that is basically Copilot with some particular add-ons or particular knowledge additional to some particular services. For example, Copilot for sales, Copilot for services, finance, or business central too. So basically it's a particular Copilot that now have additional knowledge about how the sales process works in your organization, how business central is set up in your organization, and to help you to complete particular task. But keep in mind, this is always add-ons or Copilots ready to use. You buy the license, you install the license in your environment, and it's ready to use. And as soon as we start to have these particular Copilots, you can start to move to the right in this slide to give your IT departments the capability to build your own Copilots. For example, here in 360 Visibility, we already built 3 Copilots that are helping us to have better experiences for our customers, for our employees, and for our technical team. I'm going to navigate a little bit deep on that later, but I want to tell you, when you have this general knowledge and you want to customize this knowledge using the basic knowledge of the LLM and give to the LLM or give to Copilot this particular knowledge about your organization, is going to be incredibly powerful. Imagine that you can have a Copilot that is going to connect with different different applications inside your organization, and it's going to give you the information that you need at the time that you need, at the speed that you never imagined. We are talking about LLMs, we are talking about AI, and we are going to talk now about why really I want to use Microsoft Copilot when it's a lot of different technologies around the world. And I'm going to use 6 important topics. First, personalized AI-first productivity app. What can be better that you only need to use one interface, one application, Teams, for example, to have access to all of the information of your organization. That includes your calendar, your meetings, your chats, and now your AI bots. So basically, when you start to use Microsoft 365 Copilot, and in your case that you already have Microsoft 365 services, that means that you don't need to have another application. You don't need to have another policy. You don't need to open another accounts. You don't need to have additional security policies in place, or you don't need to take care about other payment that you need to do in your monthly basis, because everything is going to be centralized in Microsoft services. So one application, the same Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, or a Business Central or Teams that you are using today, Copilot is going to be there with you, ready to help you. You are using the best-in-class technology, AI integrated in the tool that millions users every day. So when you are using this technology, you don't need to move to another window. You don't need to change the way that you work. You're only going to have the same process that you do, the same workflow in the same familiar interface. AI search. And I have a very good question for all of you. How many of you are spending more time looking for information that you know that you have somewhere than really using the information? And this is very powerful. I'm going to put an example. Some days ago, I was having a meeting with my marketing leader. And when we were talking about, hey, we want to have new background for our organization, we want to put together a different new image for our organization, the marketing team says, yes, let's do it. And we launch to everyone the new backgrounds inside 360 Visibility. But we create a lot of different backgrounds, and we share that in a meeting, in an email, and a team chat. You cannot imagine how Copilot is helping us just to find the information. So before, you need to start to remember where we talk about is maybe this meeting. Let's find the chat for that meeting. Let's review that email. You know what? Let me filter all of the emails that I received from X, Y, or Z person. Now it's so easy. You just go to Copilot and ask him, hey, Copilot, can you help me to find the last backgrounds version that we have? And he's going to bring the information updated that you already have access. Point number four, why Copilot is one of the best solutions, advanced reasoning work agents. I was talking about this in the last slide. You have general knowledge with Copilot for Microsoft 365, but if you want specialized agents or you want to build your own specialized agent with particular knowledge or better processing capabilities, you can do it using Copilot. You have ready to use Copilot, like Copilot for Business Central, Copilot for Outlook, Copilot for developers, Copilot for security, or you can use specialized language models that are already available through Microsoft Azure Foundry And you can start with the own Copilot that you need with specialized knowledge. Platform for agents. This is amazing. Imagine that you have all of this knowledge, all of this power and technologies ready to use in Teams or in your actual Microsoft services. Every time that your IT department or yourself is creating a new agent, you can put this agent ready to be used for everyone in your organization. And keep in mind, because I know that security is a very important topic, all of the security that you already have is going to be implemented in Copilot. Create your own solutions, share the solutions with your team members, and most importantly, keep the compliance part of your organization always aligned. And last but not least, Copilot control system. For IT departments or for leadership team, always that you have Copilot, you are going to have a complete dashboard and possibility to understand how Copilot is being used with your organization. I will share a quick view about this later, but I just want to say the power without control doesn't make sense. And this is not happening with Copilot. With Copilot, you have the power, you have the control, and you can see exactly how your people are using Copilot to achieve more with the technology. I already talked about this, but when you use Copilot, the information is always used. It's always your information. It's never going to be used to be trained or to train models. You are not going to have access to sensitive information that you don't have already access. And this is super important. This is going to change a lot how Copilot interact with each employee. If I have access to particular info, for me, he's going to bring me the information. If one of your coworkers doesn't have access to that information, Copilot is going to say, sorry, I can't find that information. So basically, it's built in trust, built with including the security policies that you already have. And most importantly, Copilot, your personal assistant, is only going to have access to the information that you already have access to. Now, I just want to share with all of you a quick homework to do. If you already have Microsoft 365 services and you want to try all of these benefits, I want to share with everyone that it's possible. With Microsoft 365, you have the free version of Microsoft Copilot. This free version is going to give you access to the LLM model, and all of the information that you put there in this chat with Copilot is not going to be used to train the models. So it's going to continue being your information. And the most important thing, everyone in your organization that they already have access to Microsoft services, they already have that Copilot. So first homework to do, start to use this tool. Go to login.microsoftonline.com, go to your email, and in the left part, you are going to see where is Copilot. And don't worry, we are going to have amazing demos in a few minutes about how to use this Copilot in everyday basis. And second activity that I want to put in your table today, tell everyone inside your organization that you already have access to the free Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that is going to help you and your IT department to don't be worried about these other AI tools that are using your information, because you already have a secure tool that you can include in your Microsoft 365 services. Now, this is the free service of what is represented in this slide as a Copilot chat. But if you want to have more integration with your information, if you want to have this personal assistant that is going to have access to your data, and you can build this Microsoft 365 agents and be integrated with all of your calendar, conversations, chat, etc., you can start to use Microsoft 365 Copilot, the paid services. So don't worry, you have for now the free version. Start to use it. It's going to be the first step to give AI technologies to all of your team members. And keep in mind that always that you want to integrate or have more seamless experience with Copilot, you can do it using the paid services. Last but not least, the role-based extensions. With Copilot, as I mentioned yesterday, you can have the general Copilot. That is going to be like your personal assistant. But you can have different Copilots ready to use that are going to be available with particular knowledge with different Microsoft services. We have Copilot for Sales that is going to be integrated with your CRM, and it's going to help you to define the propensity of a lead. It's going to help you to review the last communication with your customers, keep your sales team up and running with the best information ready to use. Copilot for Services. If you are using, Copilot for Service. If you are using Microsoft Dynamics to have control and organize your field services, you can use Copilot to understand how your customers are doing. What is the principal FAQ or big questions that you have with your customers, etc., etc. So it's a particular Copilot that have additional expertise in how the service platform works, how the service works, how the service processes works, and you can include that in your Microsoft 365 services. And last but not least, Copilot in Business Central. So if you are a Business Central user, you can start to use Copilot today. It's additional to Microsoft 365, but it's going to give you a complete 360 visibility. I like that name, but it's going to give you a complete 360 visibility about what is happening in your organization. You can have a clear information about your financial status. You can teach Copilot Business Central how your processes work, and he can start to help you to automatize these processes. So with all of this information, I know that it's a lot of information, a lot of slides, a lot of very good information. I'm just going to do a quick check in the Q&A to see if we have any questions. If not, don't forget, feel free to put all of your questions directly in our chat, directly in our Q&A tool, and 360 Visibility team is ready here to help you to find the answers. So before moving to the next stage or the next part of the presentation, just 3 things that I want to bring to you. Number 1, Copilot chat. You already have access to Copilot chat. Don't forget to start to using. I hope that during the time that you are seeing this presentation, you are opening Copilot chat. If you don't know how to do it, we are going to teach you in a few minutes. So start to use it. All of the information that you put there is your information. It's not going to be used to train the model. And most importantly, it's going to be included in your Microsoft 365 services. Activity number 2. Start to share with everyone inside your organization that you already have Copilot and you don't need to use third-party applications. You can start to use Copilot immediately. As soon as, at the same time that we are having this meeting, Copilot is available for you as a Copilot chat. And number 3, if you are ready to do the next step with Copilot and involve AI technologies in your organization and your processes, Microsoft Copilot for 365 is the next step. And in 360 Visibility, we are ready to help you to have and enjoy this AI journey with the best technology and the best security processes for you. We are going to move with a little bit of a training or demo where you can see how Copilot for Microsoft 365 is going to help you to accelerate your day-by-day activity. Perfect. So as we mentioned, so we have today here in our room Robert Gates. He's part of the Microsoft Cloud Architects. He's based in the United States. And he's one of the ones who is leading this Copilot transformation. So we know more information, or let's say we know more speed for my side. Robert, the stage is yours.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, as mentioned, I'm one of our partner-focused architects. I cover all of the things in our modern workplace stack, so Teams, obviously M365, and been one of the folks on our team that's kind of been leading the charge on sort of the AI set of experiences. So what I want to do today is I got a couple slides, but I really just want to kind of share with you the way I've been experiencing Copilot. I've been using it now for probably about 2.5 years in the modern work stack, and we've got some new announcements that are coming next week. I can give you a little hint of what some of that will look like, and just really show you the way to think through how do you leverage the sort of M365 Copilot experiences kind of to amplify your day. And then also thinking about it in the context of agents. And so how do you start to leverage agents to streamline or maybe optimize various business processes? So let me do this. Let me just go straight to my desktop. Let me just fire that open. And let me just give you some ways to think about Copilot. And I'll give you a quick update on some of the interface experiences. Now, what you see on the screen right now is what we call the Copilot chat window. Think of this as your kind of assistant, your brainstorming buddy, your maybe digital coworker. And this is where I typically will spend a good portion of my day. This has become my search tool. And actually, I can show you a little bit of the new interface. Give me one sec. As soon as it loads up on my other screen here. So I use this interface as a search tool, and of course we changed something. All right, I can't show you the new interface, which is getting announced next week. I have some slides though, but I'll show it to you in a minute. But I use this as a search tool. I use this as a creation tool if somebody asks me to start working on a project, right? So for example, somebody asked me the other day, hey, could you put together a presentation on how do you think and plan about rolling out agents across Copilot. So here I'm just going to ask it to help me create that outline or that that structure that I want to get started. And again, thinking of this as, again, the kind of sort of that brainstorming tool, right? It's, I've got a task, I need to kind of, think through and begin to get started. And I want to do that in an amplified way. I want to do it faster than me just kind of staring at a blank screen. Now, before I hit the button here, what I want to also highlight is you'll notice there's these two tabs here, Web and Work, up at the top. When I'm on the Work tab, what I'm getting is the ability to reason over all of the data that I have permissions to in the M365 tenant, maybe even data sources that are connected to the M365 tenant in what we call graph connectors. And so when I submit this prompt, I'm going to get data potentially back from a broad area, right? Whether it's files inside of the company, it's other data sources maybe sitting in external platforms like Salesforce, ServiceNow, et cetera. And you'll also notice here, I've got web content turned on. And so what ends up happening, and the way Copilot works is, it's a multi-staged journey. When I go and I go ahead and submit this prompt, what happens is that prompt goes into what we call the Copilot orchestration service. It's a set of services that's going to kind of look at my prompt and do some analysis, right? So we have LLMs that'll reason over your prompt to understand your intent. And then what that the orchestration service is doing is it's building search queries. Now in this context, what it's doing is it's searching on the work data, so my M365 tenant, and it's security trimmed again, so it only is my permission set across the organization. It also searched on the web because I had the web content turned on, which you can see here. And it's now gone in and sent those search queries, grabbed the relevant data, packaged it up, and then sent it over to those large language models, basically to do the heavy lifting. And in this case, because of the way and what I asked Copilot to do, this was the heavy lift, which was reason over all the data you can see in my tenant, in my on the web, and give me an agenda here to think about how do I plan and build agents for the M365 Copilot. And so maybe I'm building this as a presentation for you guys. I'm going to talk about agents, for example. So what is an agent? Understanding how does that relate to Copilot? Thinking about planning, building, obviously security compliance, and where does that come into play? How do you deploy and manage them? How do you optimize, get the best experiences, right? What's the trends? Maybe open it up to Q&A. I could actually take this outline now, send it over to PowerPoint, and have PowerPoint quickly build a deck for me, and I can show you that in a few minutes. But what's happening is that this is becoming my central workspace. Now, what's going to happen as of next week sometime, this interface is going to get updated, and there's going to be some additional buttons. What'll happen just below this home button is a button called Search. Now, in theory, if you think about it, my prompt actually searched and found some files. So you'll see it found a presentation and a couple snippets of data that I've got sitting in a loop page. But there's typically cases where you don't even really know what you're looking for yet, but you want to use AI to go really reason over across your tenant data. And so there's going to be an AI-powered search button that'll be available to you in this Copilot chat that will show up next week. When you click on it, what it'll do is basically search your tenant and the web for the files and content that might be relevant. And it's going to give you AI-powered summaries and details about that info. So you'll see that coming next week. So stay tuned. In addition, you'll notice we've got something called Pages, and there'll be a new button called Notebooks. And this is where I begin to go from blank page. I'm just coming in with a new task. I've asked Copilot to help me start kind of organizing my thoughts here based on this original prompt. And maybe I really like this outline. This kind of hits what I'm looking for, but I want to tweak it. I want to share it with some colleagues to get some feedback. And so what we have down here is a button called Share. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong button. I want to create Pages. Here we go. So I'm going to say Edit in Pages. And what I'm going to do is create, there we go, create an editable workspace where I can now go in and maybe add some additional bullets. So, bullet 3 here, for example, right? So I can add some more content. Now I've got this content, I'm working on it by myself, but if you've ever used the loop pages before, you'll also know you can share and collaborate with others. And so what I could do is share this link to this particular document with some other folks. Now, what's going to roll out next week is what's called notebooks. So maybe this is a new project that I'm working on internally for my team about how to manage Copilot agents. I could build a notebook, which will be a collection of all of these pages that I might create, other files, other assets, in one central location where I can have conversations with that data set. So you'll see that coming shortly. And then there'll be a new button, and I don't know if it's on my demo tenant yet. Yeah, it's not here yet. This button will allow you to create images, AI-powered images. And so what's going to change on this interface is you'll have a chat box that'll show up, and you'll be able to engage in dialogue to say, I need an image in a infographic form that tells the following info, and it'll build that image for you based on that content. So this interface here will update. So that, and again, that'll be announced next week and rolling out. All right, let's get out of this page. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you here too is you'll notice on the right, I've got this thing called agents. And by the way, this is going to move over to this left panel next week. But this is where you're going to go in and get a collection of your agents. And you may be wondering like, okay, what's an agent? Why do I need agents? And so let me give you a couple of things to think through. So on this particular chat, when I'm working with Copilot and I'm on that work tab, when I ask something of the Copilot system, unless I'm very detailed in my prompt, right? And so you saw that one prompt that I put in, it was really short and simple. Maybe there's something inside of my tenant that I need to really nudge Copilot to get to, or I've got a really detailed set of things that I want to create. And so I could do that, but I need to be more detailed in my prompting. So I may write a prompt that is a paragraph or two that explains what I'm trying to do, what are the challenges, what information that I may have in this tenant that might be helpful. And I'll write this prompt almost the same way I would coach a new employee that's just joined my team. And I'm going to say, hey, I need to create a presentation. I need to use the following information as the source material. I need to leverage this branding and imagery, and I need an output that's only 10 slides that gives me the following, right? So I've got to be a little verbose in this prompt area to potentially get to that output. When you get to agents, what agents does is it allows you to focus on a couple of things. First, a targeted set of knowledge. And if I give you an example, let's say I'm an HR consultant, and I have in my SharePoint sites and in my OneDrive a whole bunch of HR documents that are sample policies of a company. But when I'm in this Copilot, I'm interested in only maybe in my Microsoft policies, right? I'm thinking about vacation time. I need to understand how my policy comes into play. Now, because this Copilot has a pretty broad view, unless I'm very prescriptive in my prompt, I could get some insights that might be coming from those other sources. Now, as you saw in my prompt before, that's not a bad thing, right? Because that might be part of my brainstorming. And I'll get the reference link so I know where Copilot got the information from. But I, as the user, have to do a little bit of extra work. I have to kind of unpack the information. When you start using agents, you get this opportunity to lock in to a specific data set. So let's take my example of that HR policies and procedures. I could build an agent that is locked into just my trusted HR documentation sitting in our SharePoint site. Any conversations I have in this particular agent would only come or give me results from that trusted source. And so now I'm able to basically just have a conversation with that HR set of data. So that's kind of one of the benefits of having an agent is that it allows you to have very discrete and more precise conversations with kind of less prompting, right? You can write a very short prompt here and know that you're only going to get insights from that targeted area. Now, agents beyond knowledge have the ability to do actions. And we'll hear more announcements next week as well about autonomous agents and how you can have an agent sitting there on a business process taking actions. And let me just show you real quick what Agent Builder looks like. So this is the Agent Builder. And what you'll see is you've got an opportunity to have a conversation with Copilot to basically tell it you want to build an agent. And in maybe this case, I want to build an agent that's talking to our public website with all of our Copilot documentation. I can say that here, or if I go to this configure tab, I can quickly build the agent with a knowledge focus just using this interface. I'd give it a name, description. I will give it some very specific instructions. I want this data to be returned in a technical format. I need it to be a summary for an executive, whatever else is relevant to that particular business process. You can coach this agent to always do a certain specific task. And then what you'll see here is knowledge. Now, this could be the SharePoint sites. This could be data connected through a graph connector. This could be data on public websites. Anything that you can connect to from the Copilot infrastructure from M365 potentially will be services you can connect to here, as well as these graph connectors that I mentioned would show up if they're enabled in your tenant as selectable data sources. So maybe you have Salesforce or ServiceNow or some other platform. They could also be sources as well. Now, where it gets interesting is, oh, we updated this screen. Okay, there is another feature that's not showing up on my screen right now, but will be here as of next week, called actions. So let's take that HR example, right? I've got an agent that I've built. It's communicating to my HR set of documentation. I now understood maybe what my vacation policy is, and now I want to go take an action on that. And what I'll be able to do with an action-enabled agent is not only get the insights and answers to my questions about our HR policies, but I could ask it to go do the work for me in maybe submitting my vacation time, because maybe I've built this agent to have that connection. Now, the other third piece would be the autonomous stuff, which is not showing up in my client today, but we'll be here next week. And that's where you can think about having sort of a digital production line. So what I showed you just now with this Copilot chat, I'm going to go through Word, Excel, PowerPoint as well. Like, think of these as ways to like amplify the work you do day in and day out. You're the driver, but you're being amplified and accelerated by leveraging these AI experiences across the various Microsoft products. When you think of agents, think of these as ways to build digital production lines. Think of like the knowledge work we do is almost like a digital warehouse or a digital factory. And like we've got a person in sales who every week has to generate proposals. Well, in that proposal step, there's, let's say, 10 steps to get a proposal from that initial point of contact to the output that's going to go to the customer. And can we, at some point, look at that business process and identify areas where an agent could potentially go offload some of the work, maybe do the research, responding to like an RFP, grab some insights to start a document, or some other particular part of that business process. And so you'll see those agents, again, being able to drive a lot of that conversation and more of an automation aspect. Now, when we get into the various Microsoft products, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it's what you'll notice is Copilot's kind of weaved across the board. Copilot Chat is great because it's there as a tool for you. This is a blank slate, so you can literally ask it anything, and it's going to try to help you by assembling content based on what you're asking it to do. But in addition to that, again, we've weaved these Gen AI experiences across our product sets. And what you'll notice is kind of Copilot shows up in a lot of different places. If we take this email here, you'll notice right at the top, I've got summary by Copilot. And what it's going to do is it's going to reason over this fairly long-winded email, and this long-winded email has multiple threads. And by just clicking on the summarize, what it's done is it's given me a quick synopsis of what's going on in this thread. If I want to engage with Copilot a little further, I can ask Copilot, maybe drill into something specific that I'm reading here. What you'll also notice is there's, again, another Copilot button up here at the top. And it allows me to pull open this chat window that's context aware. So what you'll notice right now is it says, help me write an email, find something, right? Stay on top of things that I've been mentioned. But if I change the context of this Outlook screen to maybe my calendar, The view over here has changed a bit, and it's now aware that I'm now in Outlook in the calendar. And what it's doing is it's giving me relevant things to do in calendar. And so you've got this chat window that's sort of glued into your Outlook experience, whether you're in the calendar or the email component, and you're able to use the Copilot to help you accelerate components across that. And then one of the other things that'll be, we should be seeing next week, there'll be a third option here called prioritize. You can go in and select the prioritize option. That is going to basically allow you to have Copilot monitor your inbox based on some criteria you've given it in that prioritize setup. And it will, let's say, take any emails from, let's say, my leadership team, from different customers and partners that I'm working with, and potentially bubble those up as high priority emails, right? Anything that's urgent, that may have an urgent deadline, these will become priorities that I'll be nudged on from the Copilot service, right? So it's just kind of sitting there behind the scenes, helping you get some stuff done. Also, again, it's weaved into the product, right? So here's a situation where I want to draft an email, and now I've got this opportunity to either edit or use Copilot to draft some content. So if I've had existing content here, I can make it shorter, make it more friendly, right? Get an update, create newsletters, edit it from there. Or I could just ask Copilot, hey, I want to provide an email about, and you name the thing. And it'll, again, leverage the data that I have access to in the tenant. And you'll see the same thing across the rest of our products, right? So here we're inside of the Word application. We've got the Copilot button. Again, we have this panel that pops up. This allows me to basically engage in dialogue across the document that I'm working on. But you'll also notice I've got the ability to add agents here as well. So maybe let's say we built a knowledge agent connected to a product library that we have and information about our products. And I'm a person writing a document about our products for marketing or for customer service perspective. Well, I can basically connect an agent in here. In this case, I'll just select my Copilot agent. And now I'm going to engage in conversation with that agent to basically get information and insights that I may want to include in the document. So super powerful with, again, the flyout window that comes over the side. But you'll also notice in the Word application here, we've got the ability to get a summary of this document too. So if somebody sent me this document before I even read it, Copilot's already given me a summary, as well as we have an Insights tab that'll also reason over and give us key metrics out of this document. Maybe this was a financial report, and I just want to take a quick snapshot out of it before I even get deeper. So I could load the document in, hit the Insights, and it's going to look at the document and pull out key information. So it noticed that we were talking about this Thunderbolt e-bike, capacity on the battery, when was it last updated, maybe here's the motor, right? This is a financial document. It would read the general vibe of the document as being a financial report, and then it would extract out potentially key insights and numbers for that financial document. What would be some good Q&A that you might want to have about this document, right? So like, what is the maximum speed range of this e-bike that we've got? And so is that information in the document? Sure is, and here it is. So you could use this feature also as maybe to build a Q&A document that you may start getting asked about whatever the assets are. Or it's a great way to prepare yourself if you're thinking about having a conversation about this document in a meeting. Well, what are the common questions that folks may ask? Well, here they are, right? They're available to you just by using the power of Copilot. And so as you can see, it's kind of amplified my ability to work with documents in the Word application. And then very similar as you're in a paragraph in your across Copilot, or if you're just in a new spot, Copilot just kind of pops up over here on the side. And very similar to that drafting of an email, you'll notice I can make it shorter, make it more formal, get some coaching. I could ask this to convert it maybe to a bullet list, extract out the key insights and make it a bullet list. And so I'm using Copilot to quickly ideate across my document to make modifications and changes. Same thing in PowerPoint, right? Again, Copilot panel that kind of flies out over from the right. You can have conversations about it. summarize the presentation, maybe use this as a presentation for some other presentation you want to create. What are the key slides, right? These are some tips. And of course, you can engage in dialogue about what's in PowerPoint right from here. You'll also notice, again, I've got access to agents as well, right? So if I've got any key agents that I've built to help me get insights and knowledge or take actions, I could do that while I'm in the flow of work of this presentation. If I want to create a new presentation, there's a couple of ways we can do that. And one is through this presentation builder tool. There we go. So let's say maybe we created a Word document. It's got all the detailed product specs for, the e-bike as an example. I could potentially use that as a reference document for it to then reason over to build out a presentation to prepare myself for. Or I can actually just have a conversation with Copilot and have Copilot go build out a presentation or build out an outline first. So let's create a presentation about our Thunderbolt e-bike. We'll just kick that off. Now, it knows about the Thunderbolt e-bike because it's sitting inside of my tenant. It's now reasoning over all of the assets that it has about this e-bike. And what you can see is it's produced this outline that's giving us some information about the bike, specifications, some of the design philosophies. There's another document I have out here from competitive analysis sitting in my SharePoint. So it's pulled some of those insights across my tenant. Now I can reorder, right? Do any additional editing I want within this document. I can delete sections. Maybe I want to insert a new section to cover a new topic. And I have that ability right from this outlining tool. And what's great with the Copilot on PowerPoint is if you can give it an outline and a structure of what you're looking for, you basically just say generate slides, and it's going to use that outline as its key source to then build out your content. And so right now it's reasoning over the outline. It's going to start creating the titles, and you'll see some of that populating on the screen in a second. It's also using the data that I have access to in the tenant to potentially help pull this information together, right? So it's using that knowledge source. We also have the ability to leverage your existing templates, right? So you may have templates in place for specific ways you want to show and present your content. And you may also have an image library that you use for all of your branding and marketing. And so we can connect the Copilot and the agent tool or the Copilot tool into that experience so it can leverage that. And we'll have some more announcements on PowerPoint as well next week. But as you see, we went from a quick outline to what is currently 23 slides. And as we go back into some of these slides, let's just open up this one, right? We're talking about energy efficiency and range about the e-bike. And what it's done is it's selected some imagery around that content, right? So it's got some e-bikes in there. Here we're talking about smart connectivity, and it pulled up a smartphone as another relevant image, right? So Copilot was able to go pull this together within a few minutes and make everything that's part of this presentation kind of context aware. And then you'll see, similar scenario in Excel. Here again, we've got the flyout window. This is going to be your main conversation tool to then converse with the data that's sitting over in the Excel sheet. Here in this case, we've got, looks like country, company, some product information, sale price, and then the date of the sale. So we can ask Copilot maybe for some specific information. We can leverage some of the tool tips here, like show data insights. Let's go ahead and ask Copilot to do that. Oh, my screen has locked up, hold on. There we go. So what it's going to do now is it's going to start working over the data in the Excel sheet. And you should notice there it is. It's just highlighted the screen. So it's now targeted the cells in question that it wants to work on. It's now reasoning over the data. It understands it's kind of a sales-related document. And what it's done is it's put together a little chart, sales price by data, and then also given us some insights about some key metrics in here. And I could ask Copilot for other data about this particular document. I could ask it to create me a chart of sales. So now this is going to, again, reason over the data and produce a chart showing the sales of our products. And I could be more specific. I could have asked it maybe over a period of time. In this case, I was kind of vague, and it's given me a chart that seems to be a pie chart based on, and I can't tell from this image, we'll have to save it to a sheet. There we go, based on product. So if we wanted to see, in this case, because I was a little vague, Copilot just picked a common scenario. If I was a little more detailed in my prompt, I wanted it in a bar chart showing the product sales by location or product sales by each individual product SKU. But at least what you get out of here is we can see in this pie chart that the R158 seems to be the biggest product, right? So from a visualization, we were able to get that info pretty quickly. And again, we can continue to converse with Copilot to get more insights. All right, so that's just it from some quick demos. Again, when you think of it, there's like when I'm using Copilot, there's sort of the out of the box experiences across the products. Like in this Teams meeting, for example, I can have the recording on and I can use Copilot to reason over the transcript, right, to get meeting notes and take action items. Or in Mail or in Outlook, like we just said, or Mail and Word, it's able to amplify my day. And then using the Copilot chat, again, this is my primary interface at this point. Everything I do, I'm doing in the chat interface. I'm building notebooks that organize my thoughts and ideas, and then starting off from kind of this blank page to get to some kind of an outline or output, which then I'll bring to Word, Excel, or PowerPoint as that finished product that I'm going to send out to somebody. There's a lot to think about here, and I think one of the hardest parts that it took me a little while to really think through is how do I change the way I'm working? And you need to really kind of sit back from it and look at what you do day in and day out to think about how you might be able to elevate your work, either just kind of in your course of day or specific tasks where you're building agents to address them. The hardest part, honestly, is thinking about what you do day in and day out, right? We're all very busy. We're all moving very fast to get things done. And so in some cases, we've been doing it for a while, so we're all kind of in autopilot. And then really stop from it and think about like, well, how could Copilot help me? It takes a moment, right? And that's actually the hardest part. But like when you think about Copilot, like the first piece to remember is it's weaved in, as I showed you some of those examples, there's a Copilot experience somewhere baked into any of our modern work products. The Whiteboard app, the Loop Pages app, like I showed you in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it's kind of there to help you, right? Accelerate something you're doing. And the way I look at it is it's not like replacing me from doing anything. What it's doing is it's amplifying me. So I can go from, blank slate to an output maybe 5 to 10 times faster than I normally could. I can use Copilot in that example where I showed you that Copilot agent. I built that Copilot agent targeted to a specific data set because I needed a place to go to ask specific information that I can quickly get to make a decision to take an action somewhere. And so having agents that are going up against some data set that you may frequently access is definitely helpful. So remember that it's weaved into the product. So make sure you're spending some time pushing and using the capabilities built in. The AI search, which I have a slide that I'll show you that, again, this will be showing up next week, will allow you to find things that you're across your tenant in a much quicker fashion. Even though Copilot does a great job, this is a tailored Copilot experience specifically for search, and I'll show you that in a second. We also have more advanced models that are rolling out into the product. And this is what we call advanced reasoning. So if you happen to be trying to do research or trying to get some more info about something you're working on that may be sitting against a large data set, you can actually ask this agent to go off and do the work and start to assemble insights and information, pull it together so an output that you can then take action on. These agents, you kick them off, and it may be 5, 10, 15 minutes before it will give you a response because it's doing a lot of work. What it typically does is it leverages that search to first find some relevant info based on what you're asking it to go do research on. And then it assembles that content and then will, in essence, write a fairly long, detailed document. So these will take a little bit longer than your traditional prompts as you saw me do in the Copilot chat, where we've tailored that experience to be a little bit more interactive, a little bit more responsive in that scenario. So what will happen next week is we will be announcing updates to the Copilot chat experience. So I showed you my current demo environment, which should be very similar to what you've been using in your current accounts. But this will be basically the view, and I know it's a little hard to see, but we've improved the user experience. We've moved everything over to the left rail. So agents will no longer be over on the right. They'll be over on the left. You'll have search, the Copilot chat, your agents that you have installed on your account that you can go talk to, that notebooks tool, and then that create button when you want to create images from using the AI tools. And here's a better screenshot. So again, search, chat, the various agents you may have, this notebook, which is sort of a workspace. I kind of think of it as almost like OneNote, but built into the product that allows you, again, to have a collection of documents and files and chat conversations all within this one container. And then it's consistent whether you're on the web, Windows, an Apple device, or an Android device. You'll get a very consistent experience. We talked about that. We're also adding memory into that chat experience. So if you have specific things that you typically expect Copilot to do for you, or you want it to always write its responses in more of a technical fashion, you can have either custom instructions, or over time the memory will see based on your maybe multi-turn conversations that you're always kind of asking it to refine the content to be in a certain format. Maybe you always like your output to be in bullets because you really want to focus more on summarization of stuff before you take that to the next step of your task. So there's a memory function and a personalization function that will be rolling out as well next week that will give you these capabilities in the product. That Copilot search, again, it's going to give you results that look more like a traditional search, but AI is also running over and the individual search results and giving you summary info about the content. So this way you can kind of quickly get a synopsis of what's going on. That Copilot notebooks, again, sort of that workspace, which would contain your files, all of your conversation history, anything you've been doing with Copilot in one container. This allows you to have focused conversations about what you're doing in that specific workspace. So it helps you to get more precise results when you're working in that more focused container. Because you could be working on multiple projects at the same time. So we want to make sure Copilot is aware of kind of the context that you're working on in those scenarios. This is that create feature. This is what the interface will look like. You'll have some buttons here, create an image, design a poster, write a draft, edit an image. You'll have this box here that you'll basically describe what the image is. I asked the other day for an infographic that showed some info about something I was working on, and it went ahead and produced that infographic in a standard format. And I was able to get that output. And then we're adding in to the Copilot experience a tool called People Skills. And so over the course of time, the Copilot system and M365, between all of the things that are going across the platform, starts to learn a little bit about who's got skills and capabilities across different lines of business, different products or services. And this tool will help you find people that have maybe subject matter expertise around a particular product. For example, for me internally at Microsoft, I show up as one of our folks that is, understands Copilot. And so I'm one of our key resources. And if you looked under my skills section, you would see Copilot, business consulting, and some other scenarios. We've also, and we're rolling out what's called out-of-the-box agents. So we kind of just talked a little bit about Copilot kind of weaved into M365, that Copilot chat, and we touched a little bit on agents. And when you again think about agents, this is a business process transformation. You're taking something you do maybe manually and weaving in this kind of agent Gen AI type experience on top of it. But it's kind of hard sometimes. Again, you've got to really think about your business process to figure out how you're going to maybe amplify or accelerate it with an agent. So what we've done is we've also built some agents that you can quickly deploy and then customize, like an employee self-service agent. Think of it maybe as your help desk, right, for your customers, or your help desk for your IT support team, or an HR agent, right, to can answer HR related questions. You can deploy this template, make some modifications to point it to the right data sources, give it some additional instructions and configuration, and you're up and running. And now you can publish this out to specific individuals or maybe to all employees across the organization. And it's a quick way to get started. It gets you starting to feel the power of an agent, which really takes your Copilot level to the next, your Copilot experience to that next level. When you think of like productivity increases, it is kind of a journey, right? You'll start with the out of the box kind of experiences of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and chat, and you'll find that you're able to do things quicker, right? Produce emails, respond to things, get through your email inbox faster, go from zero to some sort of an output quicker for somebody that you're working on, maybe a project for. And that's great, and that's amplifying your day. But then there are things, again, where you can accelerate even further, or you could automate. And how do we get like a sales agent to monitor your sales data, to give you a report daily about new prospects that your sales team should go after? And so having a sales agent that would run over some information that you've given it, some guidance. We're looking for customers that haven't purchased in 6 months, who are, maybe up for extended warranty, or whatever is relevant in your context. Well, that agent can go reason over the data set it has access to, pull those insights, and then give those sales reps potentially some leads that they can go after. And again, do that in an autonomous way. So removing some friction, maybe help drive and accelerate more pieces across the business. That skills agent that I mentioned earlier, being able to find people kind of inferred based on their individual skill sets of what they're working on, what documents they're creating, what kind of conversations they're having across the tenant and with other individuals, and they would potentially be seen as subject matter experts. That researcher agent, which is now rolling out, again, this is going to do deep research on a particular topic. So you'll go in, you'll ask the researcher agent to go, do a product comparison against, 4 other products against maybe our product. And you want it in a table format, you want references, whatever the case may be. Submit that prompt, and then the tool will go off and start to do the work. Now, the researcher agent, especially given the complexity and maybe the depth of data that you may be pointing it to or asking it to get you insights, as I mentioned, this can take a few minutes. So this is one of those type of agents where you kick it off, you give it the guidance, you go off and do some other tasks, and in 10, 15 minutes, it will produce a document for you that you can then review and work on. Similar as well, if you've got a large data set, we've added in the OpenAI's O3 mini reasoning model. So think of this as more of like a data analyst. If you've got tons of data about metrics or insights, some financial reports, you can have the analyst agent actually reason over that. And very similar, it will take a few minutes. The reasoning agents are very complex. And so they'll reason over the data and then produce various outputs. In this case, some charts and graphs about market opportunity. Now, in addition to the agent templates and the agents that we've built into the product that you can start leveraging, we will also announce next week an agent store. So this will be a list and catalog of agents that we've provided from Microsoft, but also from ISVs, right? So instead of you having to build agents, you may have other platforms like Salesforce, ServiceNow, et cetera, that you would love to be able to work with Copilot and those data sets. And in those cases, you'll be able to find those agents from those vendors right here in the catalog, install those within your tenant, and deploy them to your users. You have full control on who gets access to agents through the administration controls, but you can go out and and deploy those agents out to folks across the organization. And then just again, when you're thinking about agents, it's important to think of it in the context of a business process, right? So customer service, could we create an agent that does some self-help so employees don't have to go directly to support or to HR? If it's a customer-facing scenario, you can actually build these agents, publish them maybe to your website, in addition to folks internally like your support teams. Inside of sales, you've got a whole sales process. Where could we leverage an agent or the Copilot experiences, right, to amplify? And you'll see that across the board. It takes a little bit of time. I would always recommend don't try to boil the ocean and say, oh, we're going to completely transform our entire sales process. But what you want to look at is like in a particular process, like proposal generation, there's maybe 10 steps. Where is the thing that happens that has the most friction or the most frequency? Address that with an agent. And while the person may still do various portions manually or amplified with Copilot in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or whatever, there's a portion of it that can be accelerated even further, again, with an agent. Over time, as you start to unpack that business process, you'll be able to weave in more agents into that journey. And then at some point, you'll see where you can kind of tie this all together in more of an autonomous agent fashion, and then put in some human in the loop kind of scenarios where a trigger happens, a customer sends an email requesting a proposal, that kicks off the proposal process. But there are touch points where a human is going to review, provide feedback, do some QA of whatever's been created to then get that final output to the customer, right? So it's been reviewed by a person before it's actually hit the customer. So it gives you opportunities to inject, to fine tune. Maybe the person that's in the loop there also has some other insights because they know deeply about that particular customer. And then just from the agents building capabilities, there's that agent builder tool that I quickly showed on the screen before. We also have a low-code tool called Copilot Studio where you don't have to be a developer. You just have to be familiar with our Power Platform sets of tools. So it's a low-code, point-and-click, drag-and-drop style toolkit to build agents. And then in scenarios where you want to be more complex, you've got a really detailed business process with data spread out across different systems, or you have a very specific thing that you're looking for and you might need a model that is tailored to that particular scenario. This is where we've got full stack tools that can be done through our AI Foundry Azure toolkits. And so full traditional development if you wanted to go pro code. All right, so that was it. Those are the things I wanted to cover. Just real quick, again, showing you some of the out of the box, getting to think about amplifying and then accelerating with the agents. Awesome.
Thank you, Robert. Have a great day.
Awesome. Have a great day, everybody.
So we said, hey, 360 visibility is not just our compromise is much more than just these presentations or the documents that we already have. We are already using AI technologies inside 360 visibility, optimizing our processes. I bring these three examples are a Copilot that we already built internally in 360 visibility, and it's a 360 IT Copilot. And I was saying to everyone, how many times do you have this question? Hey, how do I connect to the corporate network? Or can I have the Wi-Fi password for a guest that we have here? So all of this kind of information we put together, and this was an internal exercise that we did in 360 visibility. We put all of our help desk services, all of our FAQs that we already have, and offer this free access, automated access for all of our internal employees. So basically now, anytime that they have any question about IT services inside 360 visibility, they just connect with Copilot. If Copilot can't handle the question because it's maybe not in their scope yet, he's going to help the customer to create a ticket directly in our platform. So look at this, how a lot of tickets that normally we receive, hey, this printer is not working, or maybe can you help me to how do I reset my password, or stuff like that. Now we are using our time, focusing in big impact for our organization and not just solving day-by-day operations. And if the Copilot can answer the question, so the system or the Copilot is going to help our internal user to raise a ticket directly with our internal support team. The same way we did with our HR team. So we create 360B HR Copilot. This Copilot, and this is one of the questions that we saw during the last 2 months that is the most uses, how many vacation days do I have? And can I schedule one of the available that we have? Before, we need to send email, go to a platform, ask, review how many days do we have, send a request, wait for the approval. Now our internal team is just using this Copilot to understand and in a seamless way, seamless experience using Teams, just asking him, hey, how many days do I have? And can you please help me to schedule my next vacation day this day? And fun fact, we identify that your users are using Copilot after that confirmation just to set up their own office message. So through Copilot, the same users internally, they are using now, hey, now that I have my vacation day, can you please help me to put my order office notice in Outlook starting that day? So it's how we start to empower our employees to achieve more and have a seamless experience with AI. And the last one, the 360 Customer Satisfaction Copilot. So this is a tool that we are using with our sales team. And basically, before any interaction with one of our customers, this 360 CS Copilot, what we're doing is he go and review all of the tickets that our customers are raising to us, give to the salesperson a quick review about what is the tickets that are open, we are still pending, what are the issues that we have, and basically prepare our sales team to have a better conversation with our customers. So this is 2 examples that we already start to use Copilot inside our organization. We build our own agents using Copilot Studio, but most importantly, we learn how this process to integrate AI in your organizations works. And this allows us to have this conversation with you as our customers today, because you are not going to be with a partner that doesn't understand Copilot or doesn't understand AI. You are working with 360 visibility, and that means that we already know how it works, and we are here to help you to have a seamless experience. Additional to that, we receive this question all the time from our customers. It's Francisco, I already bought these 100, 200 licenses of Copilot, 20 licenses of Copilot. I want to know if this really is creating benefit for my employees. How my team is using these Copilot licenses today. So what you are seeing in the screen this time is our customer self-service dashboard. When you have services with 360 visibility, you already have this access. So just go to portal.360visibility.com, access or log in with your normal credential access for your email, because we are compromised. We have our compromise with your security, so you can use your same login. And with that, you are going to see a general view on first, your security score. Understand how is your security position in your tenant. But let's have focus in the second one, Copilot AI adoption. So as a leadership team members in your organization, you can see how many licenses do you have, where your users are using those licenses. How is the percentage of adoption of Copilot inside your organization? And with that, you can make decisions informed. So basically, you have a quick view of how much you are investing in Copilot, who is using Copilot, and where they are using Copilot. With that information, we help you a lot to just keeping track, not just where is your investment, where is the ROI, but with that information, we help you to understand what can be the next step for AI. So don't forget, after this session, go to portal.360visibility.com, check the actual uses that you have for your Copilot services. And if you don't have Copilot with us yet, just let us know, send your question in FAQ, or I will share an email with you in a few minutes where you can connect with our team to understand and start to deploy Copilot into your organizations. Now, when we talk about Copilot, it's not just about one product that is going to be deployed in your organization. And this is when we try to organize this AI journey in a different way that makes sense for all of our customers. You can buy Copilot today, but we want to guarantee that you are really having all of the benefits that you can have with Copilot. So we have this AI leadership circle. It's a limited service that we are offering for our customers, but it's going to give you a 360 degrees view or visibility about how are you adopting AI. And it's much more than just an SKU. It's a product, it's much more than just buying an SKU. It's how you can organize your organization to be ready for this cloud AI journey. In our leadership circle and innovation lab, what we do with you It's basically split the AI strategy adoption in 5 big pillars. First, we evaluate your business strategy. We understand what you are doing in your organization, but most importantly, we identify possible areas where you can start to implement AI. We'll start talking about your processes and your needs, not about technology. As you can see here, the second step is to understand what technology is aligned and what data strategy is going to make sense for your business needs. So it's a different approach, and this is what we believe that is the best approach for our customers. It's let's understand what you want to do, where do you want to do it, and let's define the technology for that. We bring our AI strategy and experience and expertise. We bring our technical team to review with you what is the best technology to achieve that business strategy that you have or achieve these processes. We help you to identify what are the best steps or processes that will move to different Copilot agents, and we help you to change your organization and culture. It's what in Microsoft is called the adoption process. It's not just buy the SKU. It's really build a project that makes sense for you, and you can see the results of this AI innovation in your organization. And at the end, but no less important, is the AI governance. I guess that you already heard this during all of our webinar and presentation. AI is very important, but we need to have control, governance to be compliant with the data that we are using. Power without control doesn't make sense. And this is part of our compromise. For the reason, always that we deploy a new solution, a new service, a new Copilot agent in your organization, we guarantee that you have the governance that you need by your IT department, by your compliance team, or for your leadership team. So you know that you are using AI in a responsible way, but most importantly, you are really creating a benefit for your team and your organization. If you want to know more about our AI Leadership Circle and AI Innovation Lab, don't hesitate to connect with us. We have some limited seats to be part of this project, but you are more than welcome because we want that you really be part of this transformation and you can start lead with AI. So this was a little bit about our lead in the new age of AI. We navigate quickly about the different Copilot, what Copilot for Microsoft 365 is a very good option when you compare this option with another players in the market. We explained to you a little bit how we in 360 Visibility are using AI. We navigate and have a quick demo about how to use Copilot and review the different options in Copilot. And additional to that, we share with you what is our 5-step methodology to help you to understand and include AI technologies in your processes. I'm just going to do a quick check in questions and answer in our Q&A. Let me just double check if we have any other one. Perfect. I have a note here. Yeah, and it's very important. Note that with the free version of Copilot, Copilot is not going to have access to your personal data. So this personal assistant in the free Copilot is going to give you the general knowledge, but it's not going to have access to your Outlook, documents in OneDrive, etc., etc. If you want that Copilot be integrated with your actual information in your data or in your tenant, you will need to review the paid version of Copilot. But keep in mind, a lot of your employees, we are almost sure that they are already using other AI tools. So why you don't offer to them this free AI version of Copilot? So the 3 activities that we have: start to use Copilot free, share Copilot free with everyone, and if you have any question, let's ask to 360 Visibility that we are here to help. I have another question here. How can I be part of the AI Leadership Circle? Well, very good question. I will say, as I mentioned, was a limited process. It's a limited program that we have. So if you are interested in your organization to be part of the AI Leadership Circle, please send us an email to camdesk@360visibility.com, and we can navigate in moving forward. What can be the next step for the AI Leadership Circle and the AI Innovation Lab? I have another question here, Francisco. I'm interested in have some of the AI bots that you already have. Okay. Our 360 Copilot, we had a quick debrief about the 3 different Copilots that we have today working in 360 Visibility. If you want to know how you can include this kind of Copilot engines in your organization, just send us an email to Zendesk or just let me know. We are happy to help you to implement these new services or adopt this Copilot to your particular process. So let us know. We are here to help you. You don't need to be alone in this AI journey. So 360 Visibility and our expertise is here to help you. Perfect. I don't see any other questions, so I just want to say thank you to everyone. I guess that we have a lot of very good insights today. Don't forget, if you have any questions moving forward, any idea, or just want to know more about Copilot, please send us an email to cmdesk@360visibility.com. Sorry about that. I guess that is, I'm missing my coffee now, but feel free to connect with us. We are here to help you. And please remember, start to use Copilot free starting now. It's already included with your services. Thank you, everyone. I hope that you learned something new, and have a great day, everyone.